Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm joined by the Pretty Pancake, and together we are going to be reviewing the June Bride Collab cards that are released in North America and Europe. So, the August Bride Collab has been debuted for the second time in August, not June, so the name is misleading, and for the most part, this collab features a lot of older cards, and unfortunately these older cards, as they were released in 2016, have not necessarily kept pace with the rate of power creep or the changing meta, and as a result, a lot of them will be not as ideal as they were possibly during their debut. Last year...
June, July, August.
Yeah, exactly. June, July, exactly, because we're in that month. Exactly. But because last year, Mirror was the dominating force, and obviously she has fallen from grace. She's not as popular. She still can clear content, but it's just not as efficient as other options currently available. I guess, thankfully, Yogg is now the premier light leader. However, he's out of reach for the average player. So I do caution you rolling if you're looking for pure value, because it's going to be a little challenging because this collab is actually quite top heavy. Now, we do have a video of Pancake caving into desperation, and she wants
the pretty brides.
and she wants the pretty brides, and you can see her disappointment or elation, and the best pun I've ever made in 2017 as well at the same time.
Okay, I won't argue.
So, rolls at a glance. So there are 3 8-star bases. Like Eschamali has an evolution to 9 stars, but it's an 8-star base. We do have the new Scheat in 8, and then the new Persephone in 7. Other than that, every card is the same as last year, and outside of Eschamali, no one actually received any buffs or updates. So they are they're just as powerful as they used to be. So here are the rolling rare, like the rolling bases, but then here are how they rank. So it makes sense that the more rare cards are towards the top, but Akechi is a bit of an outlier. Akechi does fall into A, even though he's a 5-star base. However, that 5-star is a little misleading because last year his rolling rates were more like akin to 6 stars, so it can be a little harder to acquire. Amusingly enough, Gadius, who's 8 stars, only a C because he is quite sad for the most part. And now we come to possibly the most important tier list for this whole collab. And I've had an expert review it for me, and she is in agreement with me. So, because
I haven't seen it yet.
This collab is based on looks, because looks do matter in life and in pad. We have a waifu husbando factor. So I basically rank the cards S through D as well. Basically, in this scaling, S is, what do they need? Can you tell me?
Needs a box of new tissues.
And do you agree with that?
Pretty much.
Yeah, because we have Persephone, Scheat, and Eschamali. Yeah, no homo. For A, what's in A?
Makes an acceptable wallpaper. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. B
What's
is
5 out of 7?
It's a meme. People say that.
Oh.
That's fine. C
has a poor and we'll get ousted on dates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Not
D.
letting that one go, are
yeah.
you?
And then in D,
why are you in this collab?
your Ra's in there, don't worry. I kept him there. That makes you happier.
Izanamai shouldn't be in this collab. She's wearing too much clothes.
Wearing too much clothes? I see how it is. Yeah, and Rukia Eve is an outlier as well. We've discovered that she's very...
flat.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I saw, actually. I was like, where's the boobs?
Yeah. Gung Ho knows what we like, and that's why she is not a very desirable card. She's not useful, and she's not even that pretty. But she's a little prettier than the other ones, at least.
She does, yeah. She's pretty cute.
Yeah. So a quick overview of all the notable cards. So Persephone is one of the newer cards available, and she is hands down by far the strongest card currently available in this collab. And this is because she has something unique that nothing else in North America or Europe can replicate at this point in time, because she is able to ignore elemental absorption damage. And elemental absorption damage essentially is when a boss is absorbing fire, water, wood, light, or dark, or any combination of those 5. But with Persephone's active, you're able to completely negate and void that from happening. Therefore, a lot of spawns that could have been more annoying or troublesome now don't actually take an effect because the absorption is removed. Now, while this is obviously a big step in terms of power creep because nothing else can do this, it's the most efficient way to handle those spawns, it's not as necessarily game-breaking as Fujin, because Fujin has an absorption void, or basically, like Fujin's active skill does something completely different. Like, it basically negates the absorption from cards when you hit too much damage. So Sopdet, Hera Dragon, and Vishnu are the three notable ones along with Parvati. And being able to completely ignore those mechanics is crucial because A, it makes your life a lot easier, but in the case of Hera Dragon and Vishnu, it makes it so a lot of leaders can actually tackle Arena 3 that could never have done so before because of a lack of appropriate scaling damage control. So Fujin is still a more universally useful active skill, but Persephone is still powerful nevertheless. But the main issue is that she's doing something that no one else can replicate at this point in time. In the future, I believe we should be gaining someone else that can do this. However, we still have to wait for that future. We don't know when those are going to be released. And another interesting aspect about Persephone's active skill is that she changes red and hearts to dark. So this doesn't compete with any of Dark Athena's orb changers or color activation requirements. So you can use Persephone in conjunction with Haku, you can use her just on her own, and you actually have a very powerful orb changer for mono dark teams. Is there something amusing?
You just use your hand so much.
Apparently using my hands so much, and therefore it's a point of amusement to Pancake. Now, at this point in time, there are no lethal spawns like Hera Dragon or Vishnu that, or even Sopdet, that are detrimental to your success that have elemental absorptions. So Persephone is not needed necessarily, but she's going to make your life a lot easier, especially for players who are trying to efficiently farm specific dungeons. With a Persephone's active skill inherited or on your team, you're able to basically mindlessly blow through those encounters when they could have been dangerous or problematic. So something like Noah Dragon, even though they still have the damage void over 5 million, you can get rid of that color absorption mechanic, and when we get the Box Awakening, he's going to be very efficient and easy to deal with. Now we come to Scheat. She's also S, but she's a much weaker S. Maybe she could be A, I'm not sure. I flip-flop between the two. And Scheat is, again, another new card added to the Wedding Collab, so it does help position her a little stronger in terms of the level of power creep currently available. And right now, there is still a relative lack of follow-up attack awakenings, and follow-up attack awakenings allow you to kill resolve bosses. When you form a column of heart orbs, you deal 1 true damage at the end of your matching, so when you would have killed a resolve boss or left with 1 health, the follow-up attack executes them. That is a very important aspect to have, and even though there is somewhat stiff competition, especially when more popular cards are released like the Verdandi, Erd, and Skald, Mamaji will get a buff from the Heroine collab, and Amatsu is still kind of the ultimate. Glavinus is okay, but Amatsu is really the best of them all for follow-up attacks. And she does face competition against those other alternatives, and she does have an interesting active skill in that she spawns a column of light and a column of hearts. And that obviously extends to 6 orbs total on a 7x6 board because the board is physically larger. But it is useful because that column of heart orbs ensures you guarantee that follow-up attack. You don't have to match anything unusual. It's just going to occur on its own. You also have a guaranteed light combo that could be made into a TPA or broken up if you have 1 more for 2 separate light combos. So it has a powerful active skill, especially that synergizes well if it's follow-up attack awakening. However, again, there are other alternatives out there, so it depends really on the team you're using. And right now, Yogg is the premier light leader available, so Scheat as a sub is still beneficial. Mamaji, when they get the Awakening buff, is beneficial. Even Amatsu, even though they're technically off color, is great because Amatsu is just amazingly strong. So Scheat is still a very powerful card, but unfortunately, like Persephone, they're both very rare. Scheat is 8 stars, Persephone is 7. Now we come to Eschamali, and Eschamali gained a brand new evolution, which makes her even more bride-like. Do you agree?
Why is she not S?
I'm going to tell you why she's not S. And the reason why she is not S is because she doesn't do anything necessarily unique in the sense that it's hard, you can't necessarily get by. You can use various other alternatives in lieu of her. Like, she does have a very powerful active skill. She does spawn lights from 2 different elements as well as creating 4 turns of Skyfalls. She does 4 turns of Skyfalls. I forgot about that. So the columns plus Skyfalls is beneficial. Eschamali gives you Skyfalls with a double orb changer as well as removing poison and jammer orbs. So that is a very powerful active skill, and obviously that has great merits on Yogg teams. However, the 7 orb enhanced awakenings don't necessarily do anything too spectacular. Yogg technically does far more than enough damage already, so you don't need to have Eschamali on the team to boost your damage even higher. Yes, Scheat does have TPAs, which are kind of just as wasteful, but the follow-up attack is significantly more valuable overall because Scheat can be used across different teams if you need that follow-up attack. So Eschamali is a luxurious light-based sub, and technically with this new evolution, she does gain a stronger leader skill, and the leader skill allows her to act as one of the most potent 5-orb 1 enhanced leaders currently available. However, those leaders are just useful for efficient speed farming, most notably in Arena 1. And ideally, you want to pair with a Dark Metatron friend to have no Skyfalls. That will enable you to go even faster, as well as having great damage output overall. So she is powerful, she is lovely, she is pretty, but she's not as elite necessarily. She doesn't bring anything that's super unique and amazing by comparison, but she is still a great card to own and roll. Make sense? And now we come to Akechi. This is like the first time Pancake has ever watched a video of mine, because she's sitting right here, I think.
Hey, no.
Okay, so now we come to Akechi, and Wedding Akechi was perhaps one of the strongest and most valuable cards to be rolled last year, and this is because Miru was so dominant, and Akechi to a certain extent helped propel Miru's success even higher. Being able to spawn light, hearts, and enhancing light orbs is invaluable into one active. Basically, it's a tri-purpose active. Furthermore, it has beautiful combo synergy with Saria boards, because Saria produces a board of light, red, and hearts, and Akechi breaks the red to light and enhances all the light orbs. So you basically have a super kill board of enhanced light and 1/3 hearts. So that's perfect synergy for Miru. Now, obviously Miru is on the decline, and Yogg doesn't necessarily need the enhanced orbs to deal crazy amounts of damage. It does help, but you really should be dealing more than enough damage of Yogg for the most part. So we can still definitely use Akechi on Yogg teams or any mono-light teams, and even people who still use Mirror, this is going to be an incredible card to own because it's one of the most powerful active skills in the game. And it is important, but I want to focus on how it can be utilized on Yogg, especially when we gain the 3x3 Box Awakening skills, because Yogg requires 2 light combos for maximum damage, and technically, you could use Saria Akechi, and you are able to form a board, but again, the heart distribution is random, so you may or may not get enough light orbs. It's a chance, it's low. So what a lot of players have been doing, at least with the Box Awakening, is abusing the fact that Wedding Akechi combos with Ilm. You can basically use Ilm for the red and light, Akechi after a full board of light orbs. That sounds counterintuitive, but if you use an active skill like Weejas or anything that creates a row of a different element than light, you are able to basically take those 6 orbs, arrange them in such a way that you make a 3x3 box in the very corner. So that way you get the 3x3 Box Awakening to void the damage voids. You also have more than enough damage because you have enhanced light orbs, and you basically can guarantee the amount of damage you're dealing to a certain extent. So that is a very sexy and exciting way to use Akechi, especially moving forward. However, we do technically have the farmable Light Valkyrie as an alternative, and she actually synergizes with Yogg. You basically pop Yogg, Light Valkyrie, same result, a full board of enhanced light, make the row of another element, and make the box. But regardless, Akechi is still an incredibly powerful card to own. Now we come to Gadius. So first things first, do not purchase Gadius with your monster points. Like, it's a complete waste.
It's only 1 paragraph.
It's not, he's very underwhelming. Like, it's not very good.
Don't.
Like, just don't purchase him with your monster points. Please don't. If you roll him and get lucky, great. But the thing is, he was used mostly on mirror teams who, again, are falling out of favor. Because his 4 elemental board changer is too inconsistent. You can technically combo with Uriel, but even so, it's not going to be that powerful or that efficient. So it's not worth it. You can clear binds, but Yogg is bind immune. So, and Yogg clears binds of his active skills. So again, he's not really accomplishing anything that you're not really able to do so already for those premier teams. So just don't purchase Gadius. And now we come to Izanamai, who's apparently wearing too many clothes, according to Pancake. And Izanamai was arguably one of the best, or the best silver egg to ever be released for a collab. And that's because she provides 5 light orb enhance awakenings, so you guarantee every single light orb comes down enhanced, which is a massive damage increase for a lot of teams. Furthermore, you have 35% damage mitigation for 3 turns on a short 6-turn cooldown. So that means you have 50% uptime on this relatively powerful shield. For the most part, this should allow you to survive large preemptors or certain large hits. So she does have tremendous value, and obviously because she is a silver egg, her base stats are very low to compensate against all these powerful awakenings. So it is a bit more challenging for an endgame player to utilize Izanamai as efficiently, just because you have sexier options available that have less clothing as well. But Izanami can still be utilized on a lot of less developed teams. You can use her as your shielding option on squishier teams because, again, it's easy to skill her up. 50% uptime on a relatively strong shield is very powerful and potent, as well as those enhanced light orb wings, which help increase your damage output. Again, she's more aimed towards less developed monster boxes or newer players, and those are the people who gain the most value from them. So now we come to other cards. Like, they're relatively straightforward, I guess. Satsuki is basically like a lesser Eschamali. It does remove hazards and also one orb change to light. Useful-ish, sure, why not, but it's hard to squeeze him on a team. Ra is basically one of Pancake's least favorite cards, so therefore he can't be that important, and he is basically just a button sub. Like, that's all he does. Like, as a leader, it's not that great anymore, and it's even reincarnated Ra is better, so it's just he's falling further behind. It's really just a luxury button. And for the other cards currently available, like all the 4 stars except for Izanami, all the 4 stars outside of Izanami are quite lackluster. You can't inherit them. They have too low stats. They just don't do anything important enough. Kano and Rukia, they're just terrible to begin with. Bastet, while pretty, doesn't actually serve any functional purposes. So again, there's a lot of lowly ranked cards in this collab. Like, this collab is extremely top heavy. So if you are planning to roll in this collab, you have to be prepared for the worst, as Pancake may or may not know from first-hand experience. Like, the rates are not evenly distributed. Yes, there are lots of exciting cards at the top, but the odds of you rolling those 7 and 8 stars are not really happening. Yeah, I want the top heavy ones too. Like, they're just not happening, unfortunately. Like, the rolling rates are not in your favor. And again, they do provide interesting things, especially Persephone, but for the average player, is this enough value to pursue? Again, you need to decide based on your own monster box, as well as how strongly do you rate all your waifus. Let me know what you think about the comments below in regards to the wedding collab. Do you think it's worth rolling? How many times did you roll? Do you have willpower like Pancake? Let me know what you think about all that. I wish you all a mantastic day, and
happy puzzling.
Happy puzzling. Bye.